So if you would like to put your video
I got,
off.
I got a new mug just so everybody can see.
Excellent. All right. Hello, everybody. Today is May 6th. We're almost into spring. My name is David Perlman, and with me is
Heather Cox,
Stephanie Stevens, and
Victoria Dean.
Victoria Dean, who is a new addition. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend the next 25-ish minutes talking about career coach. I believe that either Stephanie or Heather was kind of going to kick us off a little bit and just kind of tee up what is career coach, how does it integrate with some of the things that you're currently doing, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So I'm happy to start us off today. And I think the way that we'd like to kind of share today is really around the why, the what, and the how, and then some sort of pro tips on the back end of this. So career coach, and I'm just going to share a one-pager in PowerPoint form so that you can kind of see it on your screen. Hopefully you see it in a nice size. Is it big enough for you to be able to see?
a little small.
Okay, well, that's what happens when I share it in PowerPoint view.
Can read it though.
Okay, good. If it's livable, we're going to let it go. So just wanted to kind of bring this forward to you and sort of highlight the why for career coach. So those of us who have been in education from a teaching side, administration side, and especially who have touched that pipeline between maybe high school or secondary to collegiate activity at the university level, and then from the university level on into career, or from the secondary level into career, if that's the trajectory that your students are taking. It's really difficult, first of all, to get authentic experiences for them to be able to build and network their own personal brand in a safe way. And it's also really difficult sometimes to be able to follow along the journey of our students as they have sort of a curated opportunity to build their skills and develop into their future career. And so career coach is this marriage between Teams and LinkedIn, where this app now is available inside of the Teams environment. It's really slick and it's got a lot of great functionality, but essentially each student within your organization, and just as a caveat here, 16 and up are what we have been able to provision this for because of the licensing and terms of service, terms of usage with LinkedIn. So age 16 on, so we're really thinking about those juniors, seniors in high school through into career and adulthood. But essentially you're taking this marriage and being able to secure training, resources, network, and sort of an AI developed experience for each of your students. So the why really is, this is what we've been after for a long time in education, right? We've always done sort of like skills inventories, or like, what's the career that you'd like to pursue? And I remember in the early mid 90s sitting into a computer lab where we had like 6 shared desktop computers and like clicking through a very gross UI to say like, here's your skills. And of course the main things that came up were teacher or president of the United States. So I went teacher. But I think this is just a really great opportunity for us to leverage Teams as a platform, the power of LinkedIn, which we've all sort of see grow and develop as a sister company to Microsoft, and then also to keep the AI pointed back at the user, which is in this case the student, to be able to inform their path, their progress, and wonderful opportunity. And so you can see here a couple of the images up top if you're able to see them, screen captures, but I'll kick it over to Heather to kind of go into the what, but I'd love to just get a reaction from you either in GIF form or in the reactions up top. Like, what do you think about the prospect, the opportunity of career coach? Is it something that you feel like would be beneficial to the students in your organization?
Yeah, and actually throw that stuff into the chat. Instead of kind of the what, Victoria and I actually just came off of a call where we talked about some aspects of career coach that I think are important to kind of bring up. Really, because my sweet little heart is an elementary teacher at the core. And so when I see it, I think this is amazing, this is great. But as you saw, it's 16 and up. So fantastic, that's great for students that are of that age and can use it, but how does this look, and is there something that is going to be available at a younger age? Stephanie joked that yes, we take these tests, and kid you not, I remember in 3rd grade a skills assessment test that literally said I could be president. Now, okay, clearly I'm not. But when, even as a child, you're seeing something that's indicating that, there's a power to that. And so what are solutions that are available for the younger generation, you know, or how do they take their love of video gaming and understand what that might look like as a career later, so that they do want to invest in some of those academic activities early? Well, unfortunately, they don't have the answer right now, but it's not out of the question for something to potentially be developed for the younger ages. So I can't promise anything. Certainly, we don't know that that's going to take place, but it has been brought up. So if you are an elementary, you know, involved in that, you know, that K-12 space, but for under 16, and you're like, hey, I want something for me, know that people are advocating for it, but I certainly can't promise that it'll take place. So wanted to call that out because, like I said, I always feel for my little ones in terms of what the capabilities are.
Awesome. And Victoria, did you have anything to add on that? I know you were thinking about some stuff.
Yeah, I didn't realize I actually was unmuted already. So I was like ready to talk, but I'm usually not ready. So I'm like, oh, where's the mute button? But I'm going to paste a doc in the chat right now that talks about how you would purchase the licenses, the configuration, and how you can actually enable a career coach. So the big three things you need to keep in mind is that you obviously have to have a tenant with Azure Active Directory, as you know, all of you guys do. Have to be using Microsoft Teams, as again you all are right now, and then also you have to have the LinkedIn account connections activated within the Azure Active Directory. And thanks for that as well. Oh wow. Okay, this is only showing up on my screen, but David, you're superimposed upon the background, kind of like a weatherman right now.
Ooh,
Heather, I guess
okay.
you're seeing that too.
I am seeing it as well.
Yeah, this is my dream. I think I need, Heather, do you mind screenshotting that for everyone else that might not be seeing it?
Hey,
But yeah, so those are really important to be the case. I think the biggest, what was that, Heather?
Whose screen is that?
That's
That's David's screen.
Okay.
She's talking. I was going to talk about, I was just going to highlight some of the prerequisites from the installation guide.
Yes, this is great. I did not know how much I needed David's video feed superimposed upon a PDF, but it's making my
get rid of it. Hold on.
Yeah, you're going to need to bring just that up.
So I'm just going to mention this while we go into this sort of like rollout guide, but to answer that question around, can you do a limited release of this? Yes. And for some of the customers that we've been talking to, they only want to provision this for, let's say, for example, their medical college, or they only want to provision this for, you know, seniors within a certain subsection of their high school. And so it's absolutely something that you don't have to license all out.
And I do want to, Victoria, I'm going to turn it back to you in just 1 second. I want to acknowledge Scott's comment that schools are financially exhausted. Scott, that's not lost on the team that you're talking to. We certainly don't have control over that. We have raised questions as well. It's you know, there are decisions that are made that are well above our pay grade, and we can ask questions about what things are going on, but we hear you, and you know, ultimately it'll come down to what that team and those folks decide what to do. But we do understand, this team understands and respects that aspect as well.
So there's a couple of things that are taking place from a market perspective, right? So we acquired LinkedIn, right? This is really one of the first joint ventures that we've had. LinkedIn has been very standalone, right? And this product's been in development for a while. We start seeing some of the analytics, some of the AI, some of the other things that we're really trying to take that rich data set that's in LinkedIn, apply some constraints around that, right? Some anonymization, some other things, and having real world actions, right? And so education was one of those first places. We see some of the things in Viva. There's a whole bunch of work that's going on around this. You know, LinkedIn is a profit center for us for sure. People share their data. You know, there's a lot of trust in that data. But at some point there is a for-profit model, and a lot of the things that we do, and we can take advantage of them. Well, you'd be surprised the number of schools that spend significant money on LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning. So I don't know how that's going to fold into the broader subset of things that we have to offer in terms of solutions. But again, we are aware of that, and it seems like it's a ever increasing cost. Listen, we've kept our storage costs, pretty near zero for most of our education customers. I feel pretty good about a lot of the things we're doing. So, if it helps a little bit, great. You can also stand up. Do you want to talk about trials and some other things, Victoria?
Sure. And I'm not sure exactly what the trial limit might be. I just want to reemphasize. Go ahead.
25 users.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we have that, and I've seen. I went to Georgia Tech, and we use LinkedIn Learning, but not as a school-wide thing. We used it in a small subset for the Center for Teaching and Learning, and there might be 20 students a semester that are actually involved in that program, but it's super important to that particular subset of students. So that might be an idea for where to start. If you have a business school, for instance, maybe you only want to start with that group, or maybe specifically only the MBA program, or what have you. So that is an option as well. There's some customization that you can make on the school level if you want to change the branding for the icon. Within the policy settings, you can pin Career Coach to the left-hand side of the pane for the users that you do choose to activate it for.
So I'm going to share a number of things around Career Coach. The ERP. So is it all right if I share out my screen now?
Yep.
I love that. The weatherman routine. I love it. I've had some real fun with that in some of my presentations where I put my picture behind me, and then I stop talking and people aren't sure where to look. Again, silliness. So I'm going to pull up the list of SKUs. Let me just make sure that I'm not showing anything. So there's 3 SKUs essentially. I'm going to share them now. The cost generally is about $1 per user per month. And again, that is ERP pricing, estimated retail pricing. See, I'm going to do this just because I feel like doing it and I like it. So let me know when you can see this.
You're good.
All right. So here are the 3 SKUs. You don't really need to know them. Just there's one for Career Coach for EDU, and then there's also one for faculty and one for students. What I've seen a number of career services centers doing is they're going through the pilot. I'm gonna stop showing that because I realize there's some stuff on there that I probably should not show. And again, I don't want to get I do not want to lose, but we do have a demo that we can do. So there is some empowerment available, right? For a lot of the organizations, they are licensing it for the Career Services Center. And when there's a program as kind of you had outlined, Victoria, they come in, they sign up for it, they use it for a month or 2 or 3, and then, they retire somebody out of that and they add other people into that. As they're kind of rolling that out and figuring out, hey, do they want to just allow seniors to have that, juniors? Is there a subset of, just users that we're going to have inside of our career services organization, right, for advisement, and really use that from a onboarding perspective and see kind of where they're going to use it. The interest has been pretty high. Who has seen a demo of this so far? So hopefully I answered your questions. There's 3 SKUs. It's about $1 per user per month. You can do branding. The setup is really not all that hard. The user guide or the admin guide's like 5 pages, 6 pages if you click on that.
I think there's no more questions. I think there's just some feedback. So if you want to schedule time with any one of us to just provide feedback, we can always elevate that to, the internal teams. I know that they're always taking, feedback.
And you're still sharing your screen, Dave.
I know.
Yes.
And then I think if we've got enough time, I'd love to share Reading Progress because the best news about Reading Progress is it's free.
Yes.
Free forever.
Let me figure out how to unshare my screen here.
It's his first day on Teams, guys. Don't worry.
No, I happen to have a lot of things going. There we go. There's a lot of things going on in my environment.
In fairness, they did change the share button recently, and it's still throwing me off. Mm-hmm. So Steph and I, if it's cool, we'll kind of start the show on Reading Progress because as educators, this is kind of like the coolest thing ever. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It is probably, hopefully it's coming up. It looks like it's trying to. Yep, customer facing deck. There we go. This is probably, I always say, when I started 3 years ago, Immersive Reader was the kind of the new cool thing that came out. And basically, this is, for me, the next coolest innovation. And I won't go through every little slide, but for those of you that are not familiar, a lot of it is born from stuff that takes place at the K-5 level, but that does not mean that this is not appropriate for the full scope of every single learner. And Steph will be able to speak to that too.
Yeah.
Did you want to mention? Go. Did you have
Yeah,
something?
and while you're pulling up some of the slides, and I think, obviously she's really cute, and you can kind of go through the first couple of slides that if you've ever been in an elementary school or had a child or taught there, you see teachers with their clipboards out in the hall and the timers, right? And they're like, read this, and I'm going to circle every mistake you make. It takes a ton of time. But to Heather's point, think about this, and I think about this as a former world language teacher and as someone who taught English to speakers of other languages. For everyone across the board, this is something that's going to be a tool to really do what we always hoped tech would do for us, right? To have something AI powered that actually gives us back time, but not just time, like focused energy and time, and something that's data informed.
I hate this. Hang on one second. I'm going to share.
Sound off.
Yes, and then it gets mad that I have my head on.
I can share my screen again.
No, we're good. We're good.
It gets mad. I have to share my desktop audio. So we're bringing it up and we'll show you just a quick, it's got a quick little video.
And while she's clicking through to get to it, there's also on Tuesday on the blog post that I shared up sort of earlier in the chat, there's additional teacher testimonial videos, etc. So this shows you a pretty early beta demo. There's been even more improvements since this video, but it's a minute and it's great. And if you've not seen it, this is going to rock your socks off. So here we go. So while Heather's reorganizing, yeah, there's the hands, they're going, right? So if this is the first time that you've seen it, I want you to just kind of stay connected to the fact that this is something that's totally customizable. So while the AI is powerful here, it's also something that can be toggled off. So we've had questions from again, world language teachers to want to use it now, right? So additional language functionality will come, but if you wanted to use this now, it's still capturing that video and audio of your student and allows you to go in and manually make those assertions around fluency, as well as for like the little babies before they learn to read. Think about sight words going in here and not being corrected by AI, but just sort of allowing you to see, watch their speech patterns as they're phonetically forming words, etc. So from a language acquisition perspective, I'll put my Dr. cap on here. This is just such a powerful, powerful tool. And thanks, Scott, for putting that expanded demo in the chat also.
Yeah, and I will jump to those slides because Stephanie definitely spoke to some of the things that I think are the most powerful. I just did not want to overlook the fact that it is research-based. It wasn't just that Microsoft sat around and thought, what's a cool topic we could come up with? It is research-based. They have worked with reading experts, educators. This is not something that just has come out of nowhere. So you saw the basic process of it, but I will call out a few things. What I love what Stephanie said about it's completely customizable. So when you add resources to it, currently you can only add a Word document, but PDFs are coming. I think they even said OneNote pages. And then at some point in time, there will also be a bank that Microsoft provides that you can pull from. So you have a lot of options with the resources. It's under the assignment, so you do have to be using class teams in order to enable it. But you can upload that document, make all of these adjustments. I think there are two things that I love to call out, and Stephanie mentioned them, that pronunciation sensitivity. You can adjust it at any point. So if you have it at standard to begin, you can take that up or down after when you go to do the scoring. The reason I would highly recommend video is another thing that was mentioned is that you, as a speech and language instructors, foreign language instructors, any age does not have to be at the lower level. Being able to see that video, being able to go back, watch the formation of the mouth, how are they making those sounds? That is so powerful. And when you do that face to face and you're just sitting there and you're scoring it one time, you do not ever have that option to go back. So I think that that's really, really key. It's attached, it's an assignment, the student records. I'm going to call out that my friend that I mentioned at the beginning, Immersive Reader, is available within it. It is not the full scope of Immersive Reader simply because we are trying to make sure that the students are not using every single tool, but we do want to make sure that accessibility resources are available, text size, changing the background color because we may have a visual impairment, changing the font because I might be dyslexic and Comic Sans is easier for me to read. I can make those adjustments. I'm able to, as a student, rewatch my video before I turn it in if I choose to. It's sent to the teacher, and when the teacher has that, this is where, again, you continue to personalize and adjust as the educator, because it is not trying to say that we no longer need educators. Sometimes those that are frightened of tech panic when they see things like this. It does employ the AI, but I am able to, as the teacher, go through and say, no, they didn't mispronounce landforms. I can change that word and mark it as correct. Or it accidentally skipped geography. She did not say geography. She actually left that word out. I can go and make that an omission. So I can change that. Auto detect can be turned on and off. So I saw in the chat the additional languages. Stephanie mentioned that that's coming. Right now it is English, but that doesn't mean you can't use this now. If you had a document in another language, you just couldn't use the auto detect function at this moment. But down the road, you would be able to. And here's that picky meter. Here's that pronunciation sensitivity. And once you have access to this, it's kind of interesting to see if you adjust it, just how this changes here, just how picky it really is. That's something, like we said, that you were able to do. The thing that makes this also powerful is both the student and the teacher can track their progress. So you have the ability to see what's going on. Am I making improvements? Is there something that we need to look at? If we're not making improvements, what changes do we need to look at? Here are words that are commonly mispronounced, so that, okay, maybe there's something as the teacher I need to work on. Maybe we need to go back and review these words. So I just can't emphasize enough how powerful of a tool this can be when used appropriately. It's also not trying to say, I've talked to some reading specialists and they were like, but we have this, and this that we use, and they're very official, and it's called reading progress. It's not called reading assessment. So it is not trying to take the place of any official things that you may have employed in your district or university or whatever it may be. This is for students to have an opportunity to practice. from year to year, you can share this with different teachers and see where did they come from at the beginning, or where did they start the year and where are they now. There's so much power and beauty in that. Any other comments, Stephanie, David, Victoria, about reading progress? I tried to talk fast because I know we're getting to the end.
Yeah, no, I think you've covered it. And if you want to join the private preview, there's actually a pathway for you to be able to do that, whether it's through a small group to pilot at your institution or whether it's to turn on via tenant-wide availability. Again, this is still in beta, and it will be only in public preview to start the fall academic year. So if you want more information, you can ping us if you don't have a modern workplace specialist that you're connected with, and we'll get you squared away. But this is, I think, yeah, out of the last 1,000 things that we've done, this is the thing that rises to the top for impact as far as education is concerned, I think.
And just to call out Lucinda's, the answer to her question, I wrote it in there. Can it work with foreign language departments or ESL departments? Absolutely. Yes. So AutoDetect will have additional languages. So you could use AutoDetect, but even if it's in English, you never have to use AutoDetect. That's completely optional. So until AutoDetect does have additional languages, upload a document. I took French. Upload a document in French. The teacher can score that manually if they choose to. So it really just depends on, you know, how you choose to use this, but it is 100% appropriate from kindergarten through adult learners. So don't think because this video demonstrated a young girl that it's not appropriate at higher levels.
And the one thing I would add, I don't know if you all mentioned this or not, but when it initially comes out, you will only be able to use, what was it, PDF?
Oh,
right? Word and PDF.
Only,
yeah.
So PDF should actually be rolling out by June in the private preview. So in the fall, you should have Word and PDF. And then I know that the teams, no promises, right? But the teams are working to pull in, like Heather mentioned, a stack from ReadWorks, Newsella, other publishers to just have quick, ready content. And then potentially moving forward, having APIs built in with the content providers that you may have in-house might be an option as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, this was a great session. We covered a lot of ground today. Next week and the week after, we're going to start with something. I love this stuff too, but I love the fact that Jason and team from UNT are going to be speaking for 2 weeks, and then we'll have another guest on, and then one more week to talk about how did they plan, best practices, you know, the goods, the bads, and the not so good. I don't want to say ugly, just things they had to overcome. And so we're actually really looking forward to that. And you want to take us home, Heather or Stephanie?
We really appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks again for humoring us, showing up. Thanks. Special shout out to Victoria for joining this motley crew. We're so glad to have you, and we will see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thanks.
Be on the lookout for supervised chat. It's coming to your tenant very soon.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.